On the evening of August 3rd, 2017, in the small village of Auton du Perche, nestled in the picturesque French countryside, an event took place that shook the entire country. Two local farmers, 69-year-old Lucien Perrot and 38-year-old Olivier Boudin, were sitting at a garden table, enjoying a warm summer evening and a delicious dinner. The next morning, they were found dead. The case sparked a flurry of rumors and speculation, leaving even the most experienced detectives puzzled about what had happened. Everything pointed to a carefully planned operation, but the final twist turned out to be so tragic that it shocked even those accustomed to unexpected turns in criminal investigations. Lucien Perrot, an elderly farmer long settled in the village, was a respected and well-known figure among the locals. His neighbor and friend, Olivier Boudin, half Lucien's age, was his loyal assistant and companion. Their friendship spanned many years, and they were inseparable. The villagers often said that these two were like father and son. So, the evening of August 3rd seemed completely ordinary. As usual, they sat down for dinner outdoors under the warm light of the setting sun. Before them on the table were traditional French dishes, a juicy rib steak, canned beans, a baguette, and fragrant camembert cheese. The table was adorned with a red and white checkered tablecloth, adding to the evening's cozy atmosphere. Neighbors saw them discussing everyday matters, raising glasses of wine, and enjoying a simple yet tasty meal. Lucien was in a good mood, joking and telling stories from his youth. Olivier laughed and played along with the old man. However, no one on that quiet street suspected that this evening would be the last for both of them. The next morning, August 4th, a local woman passing by Lucien's house noticed a strange scene. Olivier was lying on the ground next to the table as if he had simply fallen asleep after a long dinner. Lucien remained in his seat at the table as if still waiting for his friend to wake up and join him. The woman didn't think much of it, assuming the men had just had too much to drink and decided to spend the night outdoors. But as time passed and the men's positions remained unchanged, the sun climbed higher, and the woman, concerned that they might suffer from heat stroke, approached and called out to them. However, there was no response. She then decided to alert other neighbors. One of them, grabbing a bucket of cold water, poured it over Olivier, but even that didn't help. The man remained motionless. More people gathered around, and it gradually became clear that something terrible had happened. When the local police arrived at the scene, they were baffled. At first glance, there were no signs of a struggle, theft, or violence. Nothing in Lucien's house was disturbed. Everything looked as it should. The food on the table was left unfinished, the wine glasses were still full, and both men's faces appeared peaceful, as if they had simply fallen asleep. Nevertheless, the simultaneous deaths of both men seemed too strange to be a coincidence. The detective assigned to the case immediately proposed several theories. Initially, poisoning was considered, possibly with a toxin added to the food or drink. But who could have done it, and why? Lucien and Olivier had no enemies. They led peaceful and quiet lives. Neither had conflicts with any of the villagers, and there was no criminal past to speak of. Rumors began spreading through the village like wildfire. Some said the men were poisoned, while others suspected a maniac had appeared in the village. Old stories and legends, once dismissed as mere tales for children, resurfaced. Some recalled strange events from the past which now seemed important. The investigation continued, but none of the theories provided answers. Laboratory tests showed no poisons or toxins in the wine or food. The beans, initially the main suspect, were found to be completely safe. The cheese and meat also contained nothing dangerous. The police were at a loss, unable to understand what could have killed two healthy men. Meanwhile, the villagers began sharing their suspicions with the police. Someone remembered seeing a stranger passing through the village the day before. Others spoke of old family feuds that could have led to the tragedy. But all these were just speculations, and none could be confirmed. The investigation became increasingly complex. Detectives began delving into Lucien and Olivier's pasts, trying to find anything that might explain their deaths. They interviewed neighbors, relatives, and acquaintances, trying to piece together a puzzle from small bits of information. Gradually, details emerged that had previously gone unnoticed. Old debts, unresolved conflicts, forgotten promises. The detective handling the case was a seasoned professional, yet even he couldn't find a logical explanation for what had happened. He felt that there was a hidden truth in this story that needed to be uncovered. Every new fact only complicated the case further, creating even more questions. Time passed and the pressure on the police grew. The public demanded answers, but the investigation stalled. The situation became increasingly tense, and at one point it seemed the case would remain unsolved. During the investigation, the police found Olivier's diary. It contained many entries about how he spent time with Lucien. This was not just a friendship between two men, but a very complex, close relationship between people who loved each other. They had been meeting in the evenings for many years, and to everyone around them, it appeared as a strong male friendship. Olivier wanted to live with Lucien as a normal family, albeit an unconventional one. But Lucien feared the judgment and scorn of the neighbors. They lived in a small village where everyone knew each other. Because of this, there were frequent quarrels between them. The last entry gave the investigators a clear understanding of what happened on the evening of August 3rd. In the final entry, Olivier wrote about how he was tired of hiding. He just wanted to always be with his beloved person, to fall asleep and wake up together. But Lucien didn't want to hear any of it. He was content with the way things were. So Olivier decided that if they couldn't be together in this world, they would be together in the next. On August 3rd, 2017, Olivier came to Lucien's for dinner and brought with him wine he had made himself. It was his pride and joy. Only this time he added a secret ingredient that would put them to sleep forever, allowing them to be together for eternity. It seemed that everything had fallen into place, but the examination of the food and drinks revealed no traces of poison. Still, the investigators decided to close the case, leaving poisoning as the only explanation for what happened. The detectives had just begun to celebrate the case's resolution when a report from the pathologist arrived. For unknown reasons, the autopsy had not been conducted promptly and wasn't intended to be, but the local villagers filed a petition with the prosecutor, insisting on an autopsy. The report's findings shocked everyone. It turned out that Lucien Perrot had died from asphyxiation. A piece of beef rib he was eating got stuck in his throat. Due to the absence of several teeth, Lucien couldn't chew the meat thoroughly, and it became a deadly trap. He tried to swallow it but couldn't, eventually choking to death. Meanwhile, Olivier, watching his friends suffering, experienced intense stress. Considering that Olivier suffered from cardiomegaly, a condition where the heart is enlarged and overburdened, the stress proved fatal. His heart couldn't handle it and he died of a heart attack. It turns out that the last entry in the diary was just an emotional outburst from Olivier, as nothing was found in the food. Perhaps someday Olivier might have taken such a step, but fate intervened and did everything for him.